Remember the war on drugs?
Say no to drugs and say yes to life.
A big part of this was, of course, a war on marijuana.
What kids should know is that marijuana has got more cancer-causing agents than tobacco. Illegal drugs are bad news. Don't mess with them.
Times have changed in some ways. Weed is legal in 17 states, legal for medicinal use in another 27 states, and people are buying cannabis products at CBD shops pretty much everywhere. We went to hemp shops in Tennessee, where marijuana is still illegal, to ask people what they think of the war on drugs now.
Just Say No to Drugs, the DARE program, the McGruff dog, all that stuff was kind of built around in the late 80s and 90s. I literally thought that, growing up, people were just going to be trying to hand me drugs everywhere I went. It's not turned out like that.
Leading medical researchers are coming to the conclusion that marijuana, pot, grass, whatever you want to call it, is probably the most dangerous drug in the United States, and we haven't begun to find out all of the ill effects.
It's propaganda. Reefer Madness, are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the original. That was where the original propaganda started. Was it Henry Aslinger, telling people literally smoking joints is going to make, you have sex with black people. You smoking joints is going to turn you into this. And people believe this. That's the scariest part, is that people believe this because people of authority told them that was what it was.
It is natural. It is a plant. It is from the ground. God did it himself. He wouldn't have done it himself if it wasn't needed for something. We have a Bible verse on our window right there, 12th verse in the Bible, Genesis 1:12. It's here for a reason, and it's here for healing and helping. It's a bit psychoactive, where CBD is good for the body health, THC is the mental health. Yeah, I don't think it should have been lumped in just because it does a little mind trick. What does alcohol do? A little mind trick.
Do you remember the war on drugs and that whole thing? Were you?
So actually, I'm about to graduate from UTC, and I just did a project on it, literally last semester. So I do.
So what do you think about it? What? Nancy Reagan telling people marijuana is going to destroy their lives?
Yeah, reefer madness. I think the old propaganda, when the war on drugs was first starting, was very interesting and, of course, highly dramatized.
And have you seen what marijuana does to some people? Oh yeah, you've seen them. Total burnout. It slows you down. It softens your mind. And in my neighborhood, you need to move quickly and think fast. Drugs. It's a bloody shame.
Segregation is ending or ended, but it's still coming out of that. You know what I'm saying? So there's still that fear of black people moving into our neighborhoods. And so if we can portray them, they all smoke weed, and this is what weed does to them. It keeps them out of our neighborhood, and it keeps our property values high. If you look at the laws pertaining to crack as opposed to cocaine, I'm pretty sure the statistics were you're allowed to have almost 3 times more cocaine on you at that time than crack, even though it's the same drug, it's just different forms, and one form was more associated with the black community, so of course that one was penalized much harsher.
If you have a piece of crack cocaine no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, 1/4 of $1. We passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation, you get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice.
And crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. It was a big mistake when it was made. We were told by the experts that crack, you never go back. It was somehow fundamentally different. It's not different. But it's trapped an entire generation.
I wouldn't say completely victimless crimes, because obviously people who are selling, the addicts are victims,
It's a terrible drug.
It is, 1,000%. If we go back to marijuana, though, it's not. And I don't see how, there's, I personally have an uncle who served 12 years for marijuana, like that's insane to me. Even if it is like trafficking, he wasn't like selling cocaine, you know what I'm saying? He's not selling something that is destroying people's lives. The fact that he did like double-digit years behind marijuana is insane to me.
The war on drugs is about them trying to keep a certain group of people down. Low income and black people, for sure. Today, they're not really taking people to jail, but they're making money off of charging people with misdemeanors for marijuana and felonies for marijuana.
Have you ever watched any of those old TV ads?
You know, I've seen some people who smoke marijuana, and they seem to lose pride in their appearance. They lose their motivation to achieve.
Okay. I know a lot of bad bitches that smoke weed. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Trying to make it about appearance, that's pretty great. I haven't seen that one.
Happy 420.
People hate on weed, they always have.
My grandmother, she's 90 years old, and when she was raising her kids and her boys my uncles would be smoking, she'd be like, get that crap out of my house. And now she's like, I think I might try. She ate a CBD brownie, and she said it made her a little dizzy, but it made her feel better. And so, she's got really bad arthritis in her hands, and I gave her 500 milligram lotion, and she swears by it.
I should jump in here and say there are a lot of claims of benefits and a lot of claims of harm from marijuana, but as far as I can tell, the science is still pretty unsettled.
Racism, I feel like it's neither here nor there, because to me it's like, obviously she didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. People's outlook towards marijuana and people that smoke it is like very backwards.
Even when you smoke and lift, man,
everything
you feel all your muscle tissue. Like when you're pressing weights, you feel it. You feel your whole body moving.
People that do consume are usually not into pharmaceuticals. Talk about like weed being like a gateway drug or whatever. Like alcohol is more of a gateway drug. Hanging out at the bar is more of a gateway drug than you sitting at your house smoking weed.
I'm not into hardcore drugs. I don't like they have prescription pills. You can just walk in and grab it just because, hey man, my eyeball's twitching a little bit. So we're like, all right, let me prescribe you something. And you're passed out under the truck somewhere because you're freaking high as a kite. So everybody wants to do it, man. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, because it's legal.
But what about marijuana? You're not against that, are you?
I think everything in moderation is the way it should be.
Legalization of marijuana like they have in Colorado and California, is that ever going to fly here?
Ultimately, from the state's perspective, I would say no. But once it's federally legal, I think that they won't have a choice.
As far as the administration, stepping up, I don't want to, we don't want to take away from any more important pressing issues or anything like that, but I do feel like decriminalizing cannabis is just an easy thing to do. You can check that off, it's off your table, it's done, and we're not going to shut up. You don't have to worry about it anymore, and now you can move on to these more important, more pressing issues that we have to deal with throughout our nation.
And so you're a little disappointed that Biden's.
I am disappointed. I do feel like that there was some talks about the importance of decriminalizing cannabis for certain communities, our black communities specifically. I believe that was something that Kamala Harris kind of tiptoed around a little bit.
So there are a lot of reasons why we need to legalize.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like
And I inhale. I did inhale. It was a long time ago.
Nobody flat out said it, but I believe the cannabis community kind of took it as, all right, we've got somebody who sees where we're coming from. They're hearing our cries, and they're going to step up and they're going to address this. And so far, it's just been ignored.